Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. There aren't too many people who've not heard about the disappearance of Malaysia Flight 370 with 239 people on board. The plane mysteriously disappeared. The people on board disappeared. Did the plane crash? Was the plane's disappearing an accident? Was the pilot incompetent? These are all questions that have gone unanswered since 2014 when the plane disappeared. Today, experts believe that they now have proof about what happened to the plane. Finally, after all these years, it's believed they have the answers. What was once considered a mystery in aviation history may have been solved. The experts who believed that they solved the mystery appeared on an Australian television show to discuss their findings. The mystery of Flight 370 has been solved, and experts reveal what actually happened. About Flight 370. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was an international passenger flight. It was flying from Kuala Lumpur International Airport to Beijing Capital International Airport in China. The plane took off on March 8, 2014. There were 239 people on board. There were 227 passengers and 12 crew members on the plane that day. The people on board came from 15 different countries all around the world. When the plane disappeared with no sign, nobody knew when or why. Because the passengers and crew were from 15 countries, 15 different nations used all of their resources to find the plane, and sadly, all of their efforts failed. The plane's final moments. The last time the Boeing 777-200R plane made vocal contact with air traffic control was on March 8 at 1 a.m. It was flying over a Chinese ocean at the time. The plane had only been in the air for about 50 minutes when it completely disappeared from the radar. There was never any contact made with the air traffic control or anyone else. The search for the plane. The search for the plane began on March 17th, days after the plane disappeared. Australia took the lead in the search. From the time the plane went down in 2014 until 2017, experts did their best to try and find the plane. They mapped and plotted relentlessly to figure out where the plane could have gone down. Since the plane disappeared, the world waited, watched, and prayed that the plane would be found and that passengers were still alive. As the search went on for years, though, people started to lose hope. The announcement. After searching blindly for 4 years, a senior investigator at the Transportation Board of Canada named Larry Vance appeared on a popular Australian show to discuss the missing plane. With him was John Cox, the Chief Commissioner of ATSB Martin Dolan. The unthinkable. What Vance and company said about the plane is absolutely spine-chilling. Most experts believed that the plane's crash and disappearance was an accident. Vance and his team claimed on the show that Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah deliberately crashed the plane as part of a planned-out attack. How could a plane disappear? According to a Boeing 777 instructor named Simon Hardy, the captain could have easily made the plane disappear from the radar. He would know how. All he needed to do in order to disappear was to fly next to the border and then switch between the Malaysian and Thai military airspace. Essentially, he crisscrossed between the two to stay out of sight. This is why it was so difficult to track the plane down. A well-thought-out plan. Experts believe they know how Captain Zahari pulled off such a horrible plan. They believe he started by depressurizing the plane. Unless the passengers were wearing oxygen masks at the time, which most don't on a flight, they would have passed out quickly. It'd be an easy way for Zahari to kill the passengers. The reason for the silence. When the captain depressurized the plane, it would have left passengers lifeless. This is why there were no screams coming from the plane. In most plane crashes, you can hear the distant screams from the passengers. With Flight 370, no noises were heard. There was no emergency phone calls to the cockpit either. This is likely because the captain took care of all the passengers earlier on. Murder-suicide. According to Vance, the captain's plan when he took off that day was to take his own life. This would be tragic in itself. However, the fact that he took the lives of hundreds of innocent people with him made it even more tragic. His mayhem was carefully planned, and he wanted to go down in history. The turn to the left. In the plane's final moments in the air, it took an unscheduled sharp dip to the left. According to Vance's team, he dipped the wing of the plane so that he could see Penang, which was his hometown, one last time. Who was the pilot? Captain Zahari was a 53-year-old veteran who became an employee for Malaysia Airlines in 1981. He had over 2 decades of flying experience and had spent over 18,000 hours in the air. He was also a husband and the father of 3 children. The day before the flight took off, his wife left their home and she took their children with her. Was it suicide? According to all of the experts involved, the crash was an intentional act by a psychopath who planned his suicide as well as the murders of 238 people. Was his plan really this evil and calculated? An unlawful act. After years of investigation, the experts agree that the crash was a crime. The pilot planned his death, and he planned the deaths of hundreds of people. Further questions. While experts believe that they know what happened to the plane, they don't know how the pilot turned off the transponder and why the co-pilot would let him do so. They also don't know enough about the captain's mental state to explain why he wouldn't just kill himself. Why did he take hundreds of people with him? These are questions that may go unanswered forever. Subscribe for more.